we've already learned that decimals are in between whole numbers. So, once again, number line essential in this video. So, this time, I'm going to make 0 in the middle. So, you'll figure it out why. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. So we know decimals are going to be somewhere in between whole numbers. And I also said that they can be even less than left or to the left of 0, right? That's true. They can be in between normal counting numbers. And so negative numbers are also numbers that we haven't really seen when you're learning basic math. We've only learned numbers like 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. Those are our normal counting numbers, right? Whole numbers. And so negative numbers are technically the same idea. They're not really introduced to you when you're learning basic math. So where decimals, they weren't also introduced to you when you did normal counting numbers. But now you've learned decimals, and now we can also learn negative numbers. And so what are negative numbers? And so negative numbers are exactly the same thing as normal counting numbers, except the more you go to the left, the more smaller they become. And some of you might think that's a little confusing, but when I make this number line and I explain, it'll make a ton more sense. -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Alright, let's do this. So, when you go to the right, you obviously go into larger values, right? So, right plus 1, 0 plus 2, 0 plus 3, plus 4, plus 5, plus 6, right? Obviously, when you go to the right, it goes positive and more larger. Goes up to 1,000, 10,000, million, trillion, billion, how much you want, whatever you want. It goes higher in value the more you go to the right. That's the entire point. But when you go to the left, that's more interesting, at least in this video. When you go to the left, it becomes more negative. And the most common mistake I've been seeing in my entire career in math is that the more left of the number you go, even though the number is larger in positives, even though this number is larger, -7, -8, whatever, the common mistake is that they think -7 is larger. When you use this, you see in larger sign. So -7, let me actually do this. Let me just say larger. -7 is larger than -6. That is a very common mistake I see in math. And a lot of people do this. You know why they do this? They think 7 is larger than 6, and that is completely true. But -7 is not more than -6. It is in fact larger. It is in fact smaller than -6. So, in a lot of my videos, I might have said that negative numbers, the more you go to the left, the more smaller the value becomes. And that is completely true. The fact that I said that, it is completely true. But some people tend to make this mistake a lot of times. And I admit, it may be sometimes confusing, but you have to understand that this fact is very important in your math career. Because when we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, when you go to the right, it becomes more positive. But only thinking that 0 is the smallest number, 1 is larger. 0 is smaller. When you start at 3, go to 2, 2 is smaller. Start at 2, go to 1, 1 is smaller. So on and so forth. And so when you come to this, 0, -1, -1 is smaller because it is more to the left. The more left you go, the smaller the value. The smaller the value. The smaller the value. Right? Makes sense, hopefully. So, now we know that the more left you go, the more smaller it becomes. And so that is negative numbers, right? You have -5. Let me try to make a mini number line. -5, -6, -7. And so, when you're going to the left, let's pretend this is 0 or something. I don't know. This is 0. When you go here, sorry, it's a little messy, but anyway, the more you go to the left, the more smaller the value becomes because it's more negative. The more negative you go, the smaller the value becomes. And it makes sense. If you only think about it this way, it still can make a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm saying the word sense a lot of times. 2, 1, 1 is smaller. 1, 0, 0 is smaller. 0, -1, -1 is smaller. And I know some of you might be thinking that I was taught that 0 is the smallest number. I know, when you're in basic math, 0 is taught to you that it is the smallest number. But when you go a little bit deeper into math, maybe in 5th grade or 6th grade, I don't know, 5th grade probably, it'll be taught to you that there's an infinite way to get into negative numbers. And so probably the smallest number is negative infinity. Alright, and the largest number is positive infinity. And sometimes you can see a plus sign, right? And so this is all the way to the left when you pass 1,000, billion, trillion, whatever, zillion, and how much. And same thing. -7, you keep on going -1,000, -billion, -trillion, -infinity. That is probably the last number, I think, hopefully, that was taught to me. And in positive, you go to 2, 3, 4,000, 10,000, 100,000, billion, trillion, zillion, whatever. And then you go to positive infinity. And so hopefully this video helped a lot. And so that taught you that negative numbers, the more you go to the left, the more smaller the value becomes, even though the number itself is larger. See you in another video.